Hey there, Ryan Kingsline here. Thank you so much for joining me. Now, I'm the founder of UArtsy, and I've seen thousands of students come through UArtsy, hundreds of teachers. And confidence, the idea of confidence in our work, is something that touches everybody. As artists, and I use artists in a very loose term, not just painters and sculptors, but businessmen, entrepreneurs, we are all artists trying to create our vision. That's what an artist does. They walk into a dark wood and they bring the light with them. They walk into somewhere where there is nothing and they create something. That's what we do as artists. But going into that dark wood can be a lonely experience. We're all by ourselves. Doubt follows us. We have some success, we have some failure, and at some point, we're going to start to doubt what we're doing here. So confidence as an artist is going to hit all of us. It's not something that we talk a lot about. So I want to share with you my experience and some of the ways in which I have kind of helped myself get over the hurdles. And it all starts by discovering your rules. It all starts by discovering your rules with this simple sentence stem. Rules are beliefs that we acquire just through our life, right? Rules are this amazing way for our brain to take the experiences of other people and experiences that we've seen and then codify them into our brain without us having to do it, right? For example, you see somebody get burned when they touch something hot. Some of us need to actually touch that to say, oh damn, that hurts. But then others can see it and say, okay, that looks like, for example, my son. If my son needs to touch everything, he needs to experience it. My daughter, she needs to see somebody experience it. I think she's the smarter of the two right now, but Adi, I have faith in you. Either way, rules are ways for our brain to codify things so that we can instantly go to it and say, hey, if this happened, then it means that. They're very efficient, amazingly powerful, but they're also incredibly damaging if they're the wrong rules. Let's do this. Are you ready? This is going to be the very first thing, and I really want you to do it. You have to do this. You have to write. So I want you to take a second. Take a second and get a piece of paper and a pen. And be ready to start writing. All right? Now, piece of paper and a pen, grab it, let's go. You're going to write this, everything that I say here. You're going to write, in order to be an artist, I must, and then finish that sentence. Okay? Just start writing. You got to write with your hand because then it goes through your brain and through your body and back into your brain. If you're just using your mind and you're saying it to yourself, which is possible, you're not going to go as deep unless you're maybe talking into a recorder and you really get into the mode. Okay, which is something that I do occasionally. But writing it is the easiest, fastest, best way to get it through your neurology, because you got to get it through your neurology. Start writing. In order to be an artist, I must create art. In order to be an artist, I must be awesome. In order to be an artist, I must, and start writing anything that comes to mind. Anything that comes to mind. Now, if you're writing, keep writing. I'm going to talk to those who are not able to write right now, who are stuck. So if you're writing, just tune me out, keep writing, and try to get 10. If you're stuck, we have a powerful weapon. It's called nonsense. The human brain just doesn't, nonsense is a trigger for it. It doesn't do nonsense. It tries to make meaning out of everything. If we're an apex predator, it's because our brain is designed to make meaning out of everything that we experience, everything we sense through our ears, our nose, our eyes. Everything comes in, goes through our neocortex, and is some sort of meaning is established. Good for me, bad for me. Means this, means that, right? And so, if you throw some jabberwocky, some crazy nonsense at it, it starts to try to figure out what's going on. Starts to try to understand, what does that mean, what does that mean, all of that stuff. So I have a sentence stem that has always worked for me. My brother passed away when I was 24, and as you can imagine, that was it was like, if you've lost anybody, you know that there's no words for it. It's pre-words. Words are something else, but that level of emotion and feeling is pre-words. So it's an instant trigger for me. If I need to get through my brain talking about stuff, I'll usually do something like this. I'll say, in order to be an artist, I must mother, brother, father, sad, mad. I just start with that. And I might have to write that 5 times. In order to be an artist, I must mother, brother, father, sad, mad, red, green, I don't know what I'm doing, I gotta figure this out, somewhere I'm going to find something. In order to be an artist, I must create something beautiful. In order to be an artist, whatever it is, the key thing here, if you're stuck, the key thing here is that you're writing something. Okay? So just start writing the alphabet. If you can't write mother, brother, father, sad, mad, if you want to write red, green, blue, yellow, whatever works, you want to start writing. And what you're looking for is you're looking for this moment in which you wake up and you're like, oh, I just wrote a whole page. It happens. I've seen it happen dozens of times. If you're stuck, write the nonsense. The nonsense will save you. It will trigger your brain to get through to something. I've seen it so many times. It's so beautiful too, because people wake up and they're like, I wrote this? What does this mean? Well, welcome to your subconscious. That's what it means. And our brains have this way. Once you get it rolling, once you get the friction out of there and you get the flow, it's just amazing. So I really want you to have some of these before we get to this next section. In order to be an artist, I must. Pause this video now, take a second, and start writing some of those things. It's really incredibly enlightening. So I'm just kind of hanging out, hoping you pause it and you do these. So now I'm going to assume you did it, and we're going to get into the next section, rule challenge. A lot of times when people write these, because I've done this for a while now, so a lot of times when people write these, they'll say, in order for me to be an artist, I must create artwork that moves people. In order to be an artist, I must create something beautiful. And what that does, the very important thing about that is that it creates thresholds. These are thresholds that you have to meet in order for you to let yourself feel like you're an artist. So in order for me to feel like I'm an artist, I have to create a piece of artwork that moves somebody other than my mother, right? It's got to move somebody other than my mother. Does that help us? Does that hurt us? In very simple terms, all right? Because a lot of times when I ask that, does it help us, does it hurt us, people will say, well, it helps me because it keeps me motivated and keeps me moving and pushing. All right, fine. We'll get to that in a second. But I would say, in general, giving somebody else control of how you feel doesn't help you. So if I say, in order for me to be an artist, I have to create artwork that moves somebody. Now I have to wait until somebody is moved before I feel like I'm an artist. Not only that, when somebody doesn't get moved, when they're not ecstatic about my work, then I feel like I'm not an artist, because that's the corollary there. If that's your rule, then when somebody's not moved, you feel the opposite of like an artist, you feel like not an artist. And is that a good thing? Is that ever a good thing? In my hypnosis, that's a recipe for a little bit of disaster. Because the key thing about rules is that they create that friction. Some of you may have been stuck when you started this example earlier. The rules are what got you stuck. And the thing about art, the thing about anything, is that stuck is the worst place to be. Sucking is better than stuck. You gotta be moving. So you gotta watch what your threshold is, right? In fact, let's go back here for a second. One of the rules I had, one of the thresholds, the thing that really crystallized this in my mind is I had a rule. I did that exact exercise. In order for me to be an artist, I must create at the highest level of skill in the highest state of joy. I don't go around talking about state of joy and all that stuff often, but that's what I wrote. Was that helpful? Hurtful? How often am I in an ecstatic state of joy running a business to beautiful, energetic kids, right? And then not only that, but isn't skill just a mountaintop? You get to the top of one mountain, you see another mountain. I haven't met anybody, none of my teachers, nobody I've ever worked with that ever said, I'm done, I've learned everything. I've never heard that said by anybody who was growing and achieving amazing things. I've heard that said by people who have plateaued emotionally, not in their skill. And that's a difference. But anybody who's growing will always see another mountaintop. That's the way it works. That's part of our journey. So if our rule is we're only going to let ourselves be an artist, we're only going to let ourselves experience that when we get to the top of that mountain, how long are you there? How long are you at the top of that mountain? 5 minutes, a day. And then you turn around and you see another mountaintop. In order for us to win at life here, we need to be happy going up the mountain, at the top of the mountain, down the mountain, and up the next mountain. That's how we win in life. That's how we win in our art. That's how we really develop a strong sense of ourselves that's going to just blow through all the barriers, all the people that say no, all the hard things that happen, all the failures that result from us simply struggling and having to learn. And so that really takes us to this next question, which is the myths of struggle. Because a lot of us believe that we shouldn't struggle. I'm there. I've been there. I should just be awesome. If I was really meant to be an artist, if I was really meant to be in marketing, I would already know all of this stuff. If I was really meant to be an entrepreneur, well, I would already know all this stuff. I don't know a lot of entrepreneurs who knew everything when they started. I didn't. I just knew that I had a kid on the way, no insurance, and no job. So I was either an entrepreneur or something was going to happen, something bad. And on top of that, my daughter was in ICU for 7 days, and the bill was $100,000. If I hadn't pulled it together, we would have been in deep trouble. But this is just a massive part of our lives. I shouldn't struggle. I should just be awesome. Struggle is for losers. When we're comfortable, this is something that can come to us. When my daughter was being born, when we found out we had Aisha, I didn't have time for this belief. And so a lot of times we get pushed past this belief, but it's still there. And we got to be mindful of that and reprogram ourselves to say, struggle equals I'm on my way. We're making this happen. Struggle means I'm learning. Struggle means I'm growing. I'm not there yet, but I'm growing. I'm learning. We need to learn to love the struggle. And we need to remember that these beliefs only work when you're at the top of that mountain. And they only work for the 5 minutes that you're at the top of that mountain before you see how much further you have to go. Again, if we're going to win at life, we need to be happy going up, going down, and going up. We need to be happy with that struggle, right? Another way to phrase this, and another way to think about this is a concept that's been around for a while. Abundance versus scarcity. A lot of times we get into the mindset of scarcity, which is, I don't have enough. I see that a lot in my school because I see a lot of people who are taking classes because they feel like they're not enough right now. And that might be true that we need to learn certain skills. And so we do need to take classes. But do we need to take 20 classes? How long have we been taking classes before we let ourselves create our own work? I see that, I experience that with my painting, for example. In my painting, I do these large paintings, like 5-6 feet tall. And I would never let myself work that large because there's so much, I thought I had to know so much, and you'd have to figure out composition and color, and you need to master all these things, so maybe you go to a studio, an atelier. And I just started one day. And I figured everything out, and each painting became a struggle that brought positivity to me because I was okay with the struggle. Before, I looked at it and I said, I don't have enough skill, I don't know composition, I don't know anatomy, I don't know all of these things. Even when you learn anatomy, you still feel like you haven't learned anatomy. When you learn composition, you still feel like you haven't learned it. Have you taken a class thinking you would learn something only to end the class thinking, I got to take another class because I don't know it? That's scarcity. That's feeling like I don't have enough and I'm not enough. But the truth is, everything is inside you, and we have to shift that. Everything is already there. You might not have everything that you need to be able to be perfect and land at the top of that mountain without any problems whatsoever. That might be true, but that's not the way this works. We know it. It's not the way it works. And if it does work that way, you're only happy for that 5 minutes. Think about the people that you know that work like that. Are they happy? Or what about the people who are like, I don't know, but I'm going to figure it out? I've seen that, especially in concept design world. I see people all the time, they're pushing their barriers. They don't know this, they don't know that. They don't know this particular vehicle form or this particular kind of anatomy or whatever, but they are just ready to go because they know inside them they have the tools to move that forward. You're going to start a business. Are you waiting until you've done marketing, e-commerce classes, you've learned everything on Udemy, and you've picked up all these other things? You're never going to start the class. You're never going to start the business. You're going to have to wait until some life event pushes you through the threshold rules you have. Or you can listen to me today and you can start beyond scarcity. Because the thing with scarcity, the thing with not having all the stuff that you think you need, is that you will never be past that. The let's say difficult, the insidious part, that's the word I'm looking for. The insidious part of scarcity is that scarcity never solves scarcity. If you feel like you don't have enough, you will never have enough. We need to start with that idea. If I feel like I am not enough right now, I will never be enough. The only way to be enough is to start beyond that whole conversation and just realize that I am enough now. But confidence and thinking that I'm enough is all a matter of perspective, and I'll demonstrate that here. Because the key to feeling like I have abundance, like I am enough, is understanding my resources. That's the number one key to understanding that I am enough right now. That and perspective. Because when I say I'm enough right now, I'm not saying I'm the master. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that I'm enough right now to tackle anything that comes my way. I will learn it. I'm cool with struggle. I'm cool learning. I'm cool not being so good and growing my skill, right? But in order for us to get there, one of the principal things we need to be mindful of is resources. What are the resources that you have right now? What are the things that are part of you and your life that give you power? Maybe you're a natural problem solver, right? These could be just personality things. Maybe you're a natural problem solver and you know that you just love to figure this stuff out. Maybe you're naturally inquisitive and curious. Maybe there's an intuitive side to you that always has this little spark, and you know if you just keep reading, eventually you're going to pull some obscure reference from something that's happened to you in the past, and you're going to start to piece things together. Now, you're watching this as a creative. You would not be a creative today unless there was something in your life, some massive amount of resources that you used to overcome some problem in your life. That's the nature of creatives. Creatives are born from a struggle. We don't just happen. We're birthed through struggle, frustration, some event that we had to overcome. In my own story, I wasn't finishing high school. I was in all kinds of trouble by the time I was 12. We were hanging out, we were skipping out of the house, we were running all over the place, doing all kinds of bad things at the age of 12. I wasn't going to finish high school. I barely even attended my 11th grade. My 9th grade, I think my friend and I had the record for the most detentions, and then we had another record for the most absences. There was no way I was going to finish that. There was no way I was going to get out of that trailer park where we moved when I was 12. I know people that are still there. In order to get out of that world, I had to realize that I was not my world. I had to do a creative feat of the imagination. I had to say, I'm not this, I'm something else. I had to create myself separate from the world. We don't always do that. Some people don't have that difficult childhood, and they don't have that opportunity to create themselves until later on in life. I had to do it at 12, or my chances of survival were not so good. I saw what happened to the people around me, and I knew that I needed to move. I needed to find a way out of this. And I created Ryan, and I created, in many ways, the Ryan you're seeing and talking to right now, to get myself up to another level. As a creative, you're right there with me. You have created yourself. You are here because you saw yourself as different than somebody else. So you have untapped resources. You have those resources that got you here, but sometimes we just forget about it, right? And even if you can't see those resources, we all have one resource that is more powerful than anything in the universe. Time. We all have time. Time wears down mountains. Time collapses black holes. Time outlasts the universe. Time is within you and I's grasp. But a lot of times we decide, I need to do something now. We have these rules. In order for me to be an artist, I must do this in 6 months. In order for me to be an artist, I must do this in 3 minutes, right? Who has that? In order to be an artist, this shouldn't be a struggle. I should do this quickly. I shouldn't have any problems. Do you have that? I have had my share of those. And they've taken decades of my life. And now we have this opportunity to rethink those and redefine that, because time is there for all of us, and we can wear down any problem. Any problem will succumb to us if we continue to apply time, energy, and effort to it. It already has. You've already achieved so much by waiting out your problem, by sticking through, right? So that is a tool for us. Tired of quitting? We'll stop. What is it? Tired of stopping? Tired of quitting? Tired of losing? Stop stopping, right? Tell me in the comments below where that came from. I forgot it right now, but you get the idea. Time is our tool. So I want you to think about what your resources are. These could be things in your life, like your personality, your natural problem solver, right? It could be your location. You live in Los Angeles and you want to be a game artist. You already have a resource. You're one up from somebody in Montana who doesn't have that capacity. You have the chance to go meet people at events and talk to people, right? You want to be an entrepreneur. You've got online. You go get your business license. You create your sites at GoDaddy and Shopify and Kajabi, places like that, right? Wherever you're going to do it, what are the resources? You have an amazing amount of resources as an entrepreneur today. Kajabi is amazing, the new Kajabi. Shopify, Kickstarter. All of these are massive resources people did not have 10 years ago. Those are your resources. Your relationship, you have a partner who's just fully supports you. That is a resource. So tell me, in the comments down below, tell me, what are the resources that you have? We started this conversation out about talking about confidence. And so if I was to summarize what we've discovered, one of the first things that we need to do is we need to know what our rules are. Because when you know what your rules are, you know what the rules of the game are. You know what your expectations are. And then you can see sometimes you rig the game so nobody wins. And you can stop doing that. The highest level craftsman, that rule that I had to create at the highest level of skill, I learned that was a zero-sum game. Nobody was going to win that game. It was never going to be won. I had to get past that sense of scarcity into a sense of abundance before I could really start to play a game that was going to be meaningful to me and that I could win. Just that one shift made it possible for me to go up the mountain, down the mountain, and up the next mountain and be happy with it. And not sitting there stuck and frustrated and looking at my work and thinking that my work sucked and that I sucked because I made it. If you're feeling that, I've been there, and it is a very unfriendly place. The only way we're going to get out of that is if you start thinking about your resources, the things that you already have around you, the things that you've forgotten about. I forgot all about my resources. I thought that in order to be an artist, I had to be this person that I never really wanted to be. But when I realized that I'm a natural problem solver, when I realized that I could spend any amount of time to solve a problem, when I realized that I loved this, I had the motivation to just explore my art, to do it. When I realized that those were my true resources, that's when everything shifted. And I create painting after painting, sculpture after sculpture, and I work and I work and I work. All right, it doesn't always turn out well, but I got my big boy pants on. That's the way this works. So let me know. What are your resources down below? The way you're going to win at this ticket is you're going to find a way to get happy going up, going down, going back up, because you and I were in for the long haul. We're using time to our advantage. We're traveling. This is our journey in life. How do you have confidence as an artist? You recognize the resources that are already inside you, and you recognize that you're in for the journey. You're in for the long haul, and you're going to make it happen. That's how you do it. Take care. Let me know what you think in the comments down below, and make sure you subscribe, and I'll talk to you later.